Welcome back, everyone. It's Patty, it's Josh, it's Dill, and we are here on the wrong fairway. Just want to give a quick shout out to Bryson DeChambeau. He had a really good last 2 weeks, winning his first major championship at the U.S. Open. But for now, Patty, Dylan, how were your last 2 weeks?
It was pretty good. I think I golfed 5 times total, although 3 of those were just 9 holes in the last 2 weeks. And it's been going well. I had a tough round that finished with some nice highlights that I'll talk about a little bit more later. But overall pretty good. I feel like I'm getting better despite some smaller-ish setbacks, I'd say. But again, I'll get to that in a little bit. Dill, how you doing? Have your clubs come yet?
No clubs yet. It's looking like that's gonna be probably mid-October. So hopefully before our golf trip, but not expecting much, honestly. The latest they should get here is by December. So maybe I'll have myself a Christmas present that I bought in August. But yeah, that's not looking too good for the clubs. But at this point, I'm honestly getting better with my super shitty clubs anyway, so it's feeling kind of good. So hopefully when I get the good clubs, I'll see that drastic improvement. But the last 2 weeks, I feel like I've been getting, I wouldn't say much better, but I have been getting better. I've noticed that if I go out and play around, I'm usually getting bogey, the double bogey here or there, but a larger amount of pars. And I'd say my score is actually staying the same. So no change in handicap, but what I'm noticing is I'm getting, a lot more pars, but then a blow up hole, and like we used to have blow up holes almost every single hole, but now for me, what it is like I'll get a par, bogey, par, double bogey. And then what really wrecks my score is that I'll take something not too serious, or I'll have a great tee shot that just happens to find the water.
So not great tee shot is what you're saying.
kind of. And then that adds a stroke, and then some bad wedge work adds a stroke. So definitely getting better, but the blow up holes are killing.
Question for you then. So just to define what a blow up hole is for you, is that +3, +4, +5 on a hole? What's a blow up hole in your mind, and you too, Josh? What's a blow up hole for you guys?
All right, blow up hole to me is quadruple bogey or more. I'd say triple bogey is a sucky hole, but I wouldn't say it's a blow up, because I feel like, with a triple bogey, there's obviously some shots that you don't want to be hitting, some bad shots here and there, but I wouldn't say you blew up, because we've definitely all had triple bogeys in the past, and they suck. They come, but
speak for yourself.
Yeah, okay, pro golfer Patty.
Okay, Patty. Okay.
But to me, a quadruple bogey is a blow up hole, and I think I had a quadruple and a quintuple this weekend. Just some bad stuff going on, but Grant was there to witness it, and he calmed me down, so it was good.
I think for me, a blow up hole is definitely double par. I feel that, and that's without any penalties. I find, my last 2 weeks of golf were good. I definitely see myself improving. The issue is I'm still hitting balls out of bounds, over the green, things like that, into water hazards. And, you're always going to get that. Because I'm not playing the course, I don't know the course inside and out to know, okay, I just need to clear or 7-iron just short of the water because I'm trying to drive it or whatever. And definitely I find when I do have these blow up holes, it's the result of a 3-putt, a duff shot, and just not having a good hole. And it's just every part of my game is no good. Between the drive is off to the right, I duff a 7, 2-chip, 3-putt, and then you're at 8 already.
Totally. Yeah, I definitely feel it. I'd say for me right now, I want to say a blow up hole is like a triple bogey, but that's just me thinking I'm better than I am. A blow up hole is a +4, +5. But like I don't know, like it's been a couple rounds since I've had a hole like that. Like I was gonna get to this a little bit later, but like my worst hole that I had in these last 2 weeks was a 7 on a par 4, which was like I thought was like the most frustrating thing. But it's I don't know, like kind of at the point now where my recovery shots, like I'm good enough to like recover from, all right, my first drive went 10 yards. All right, I can, hit my next one with relative confidence that it's not, going to be terrible again, which, fun fact, is it was 10 yards again. So I hit 10 yards, my first 2 shots on that 7. But like, I recovered from there and only got a triple bogey.
Wait,
but like that feels like the big...
Were you hitting the ball or throwing the ball, Patty?
That was one of the very few times I'll admit that throwing the ball I think would have been much, much better. I'll be honest with you.
It's interesting that you said your recovery shots, because I have gotten better. My score has come down because I'm hitting better recovery shots. I've stopped trying to thread trees and just started, punching out into the fairway with a pitching wedge, and that gives me a great opportunity to hit a low iron onto the green.
So that kind of leads me into a question I have for you guys that I wasn't going to bring up this week, but I'm genuinely super curious about. Do you guys think that a large part of us getting better is just us actively trying to get better? Kind of like you said, Josh, like instead of trying to thread it through trees, you're punching out. You're making these smarter, safer plays that are going to lower your score. Like that punching out is going to save you. Instead of trying to clear the water, maybe try to go around it in 2 shots instead of trying to hit, your 4-iron 200 perfectly straight, stuff like that.
I definitely think that part of us doing the podcast and reflecting every other week is making us better, because there were times. So for reference for our 8 listeners,
we're 10 this week. We're 10 this week.
10.
Yeah, we're up to 10
listeners this week. What up, everybody?
We're growing.
Thank you for sharing and liking and subscribing.
Shut up.
Feel free to tweet at us.
Welcome back, guys. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure to put the alerts on.
I think part of us getting better is recognizing when we have the ability to make a bold shot. And by like a bold shot, I mean something that obviously you're not super, super comfortable with, but we're on the golf course and it's a fun sport, so might as well just go for it. And I remember at one point this weekend, I've been at the driving range working on hitting my driver a lot more. So I think in the past I've told you guys my 3-wood has been my go-to club off the tee. I can control it a little better. It goes straighter and, at a certain point, enough distance that I need more than I'd get with a driver with a bad slice. And this weekend, I had the driver and the 3-wood kind of interchangeable for me. And I remember hitting a 3-wood at one point, and the next hole I hit the 3-wood again, and Grant was kind of asking me, like, why did you hit the 3-wood there? This is a pretty long par 4. You could have hit the driver, and you hit a great driver on the last one, or 2 holes ago. And I told him, like, I thought it was the smarter decision to go with the 3-wood. It's just a little better. And I think that's what we're doing, is analyzing the shots that you've had at the driving range, and also analyzing the shots you've had previous in that round to see what's the best shot I can go forward with and be the smarter golfer that I can be today.
Yeah, and similarly with that, I think that for me is knowing when to, like you said, when to make that shot. The guy when to be aggressive. Right? The guy I played with 2 weeks ago now, maybe 3. He was saying, I want to go out here. I want to try to hit those tough shots. And part of us getting better is, okay, definitely try to make those tough shots. That's how you're going to, make those birdies and make those, easy pars. And
it's kind of like, do you try to go for short-term improvement, which is the safe shots every time, or long-term improvement, which is like challenging yourself, right?
And I think it's like Dylan said, it's knowing when to do that and knowing that you can make the safe shot. You can lay up before the water and then hit it over, as opposed to, oh, you know what? I have a really good lie. I'm going to try to clear the water because my 4-iron's been on. And that actually brings us to one of my good shots this week. 4-iron was about, it was a short course. I think it was a par 68. It might have been par 67. And from the tee, it was like a little bit of a dog leg right, just kind of barely. And I kind of took my 4-iron and went to the left side of the tee box, which I never do. And this is kind of what I wanted to do, is playing the course. And I, angled myself to the right, and I drove the ball just to the left of the tree line on this dog leg right. And that kind of put me about 50 yards just to the left side of the fairway, and I was able to chip on, and I actually ended up birdieing that hole. So kind of that whole hole was just me, both playing the course and knowing I could try to drive the green and get a little bit of a slice on my driver, or I could recognize that I'm not that good yet, and I'm not that lucky yet, and it happened to be a great shot, and I birdied, and the guy I was playing with was like, "Yo, I would never have thought to hit a 4-iron on this hole. I would always have driven this hole." And I was like, "Yeah."
Well, that's kind of like what I've been doing the last 2-3 months. Even is I haven't hit driver once in a round, right? Like I'm just purely.
Well, you can't hit your driver. I'm very good with my driver, so for me to recognize that,
very good's a strong statement. I just want to point that out.
Yeah,
relatively in this group.
Yeah, within the group, you're probably the best with your driver out of this group. Totally fair. I'm just saying, like those smarter shots are definitely better. So Josh, you mentioned your good shot. Let's talk about what's more fun to talk about. What was your bad shot?
Give me the bad shot.
Give me.
So I've been definitely, as Patty mentions, I'm the best in this group at driver. I'm the worst in this group at short game. And my bad shot. Oh God.
I cannot wait.
Josh is only good at short game when he takes his shoes off.
I was about 20 feet from the green, and I've been really working on trying to snap my wrist through. And I definitely,
Wait,
I get
with
it.
your wedges, like with a pitching wedge or like a long
sand wedge, which is usually what I do from inside 20.
Can I guess real quick what happened? Can Dylan and I play some bets on what happened?
Yeah. Play some bets.
So my bet is, and I've seen this many a time golfing with you. You try to flick it up, try to get a little bit of loft on it, right? You're doing you said sand wedge, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So you're trying to get some loft on it. You're trying to stop it quick, and you sculled it. I think 50 yards over the green is my bet.
50 yards is a lot. I like that guess. And now, because I can't guess that you sculled it, because that's kind of what I wanted to go with as well, I'm going to say you sculled it, but you towed it. You towed the club, and it went way right. And you were probably instead of you said you were 20 feet from the green. Rather than being 20 feet, now you're 20 yards from the green, just because you towed it, and it went way, 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 way right. Because I do that.
Yeah, so I appreciate sculling is generally my issues with short game, but actually
Don't tell me you chunked it.
I basically chunked the ball, and a little bit what you said. I don't know what happened with my wrist coming through, but I made contact with the ball, and the ball literally just hooked hooked left about 50 yards.
Oh God.
I thought I was getting under it and kind of hitting just the very back of the club to get it pretty much in the air. And I think my wrist came around to the left, and I kind of pulled it, and this ball just went
it sounds like you basically hooked it and closed your club face a ton, right?
I closed my club face a ton, and it just went left, and I was just holy crap. I don't know how I do that. And then the next time I hit the ball, and it only went 5 yards. And I was like, well, this hole is a blow-up hole.
AKA a triple bogey. All right, I want to talk about my good shot, bad shot here real quick. So I was playing with 3 random people. It was a father, his son, and then another rando. And the entire round, this dad was correcting every single thing about his son's swing. And I just want to say that is the worst combination to golf with ever. I felt so bad for that kid. But I'm on a par 3, super, super downhill, 180 yards, but it plays 150. It's very, very downhill. And I go,
Love this.
and I line it up. I'm feeling good. At this point, I'm like, this was hole like 15 it was hole 16. And I was like 12 over. I was feeling awesome. Like I was having a great round. And I go and I line it up. I'm feeling good. We had to wait for a while. And I swing and it goes, I think, so if I'm aiming straight at the target, it's about 45 degrees left. Just it, like I could not, and it was it went perfectly straight. Wasn't a hook. Just hit it perfectly straight, 45 degrees left, way out of bounds, up in a hill, just gone. Just absolutely
So
gone.
you came way outside
Yep.
the inside on it, but hit a good
Out-
one. You hit a good one.
Outside the inside square, and it sounded so crisp too. It's like that sound you want.
Oh, I hate those. I hate those.
But my good shot, I was like, hey guys, like I'm gonna take another, and I put it within 2 feet. Like again, same shot, same sound. It just didn't go 45 degrees left. It was, wow, that was the best bogey I ever had.
So that's kind of like one thing I've noticed is where I feel like I struggle in my game a lot is the first shot. And that may sound counterintuitive, but it's like when I go out and golf, I know I can be hitting these
Yeah.
shots. You know, I go to the driving range. I know I can hit my gap wedge this distance. I know I can hit my 7-iron straight this
Mhm.
distance. But the game of golf, you have to do it on the first
Yep.
try every time. And that, I think, is where I'm getting a lot of the discrepancy in my score,
Mhm.
is because I'll hit a first shot. So actually, to kind of backtrack, like where I'm getting kind of frustrated is I've sort of stopped taking mulligans and second shots just because I'm trying to make sure that I hit my first ball how I want to hit it. And if it's a shitty ball, then I got to deal with it, you know? And it's like, if I give myself that second ball, then I feel like I'm not going to take the first one as seriously. So I've been getting really, really frustrated because sometimes I won't hit my first ball like I
Yeah.
want to. And I get frustrated. And if I do drop down a second ball, then I hit that second ball exactly how I want to hit it. And it's a great feeling, but not as good as you want it
Yeah.
to feel.
No, I totally get that. And a lot of that for me is just like warming up before a round and like hitting some balls before. And like that is by far the biggest factor in helping me out every round for sure.
So I think
Yeah.
since the last time we recorded, I had played a 9-hole course and went around twice for the 18, both a little bit shorter. And this past Friday when I played, it was very interesting because my front 9 was somebody else's back 9, and then I was by myself for the back 9, and I played 2 balls. And it was very interesting. My first ball, because I hit 2, my first ball was always much better than the second one. And I don't know if that's because it was in the middle of the fairway, and then the second one I tried to get a little bit more aggressive on, but it was very interesting to see. And I think I went plus, I was like, my first ball for a while was +1, and then my second ball I think was like around +6. But towards the end they kind of evened out. I think I was +5, +8 or 9 or something around there.
It's not too bad. But I guess to get back on track, to entertain you first, my bad shot this week. So golfing with Grant, it feels great to golf with someone you know. And golfing with Grant is great. Me and him get along. We shared a cart, and he'd hit a great shot. I'd hit a great shot, or vice versa. We both hit really shitty shots. Not to out Grant here, but oh my god, it was freaking so funny. We were on the tee. Grant hits a ball. He's a lefty. So he hits his ball, and it fades, which is a draw for us. Fades right into basically someone's townhouse lawn.
I've been there.
So
We've all been there.
We've all been there.
He's in somebody's lawn. Yeah, in somebody's lawn, not too great. And he gets up to his ball. He's thinking, okay, let me just punch this back in the fairway. It's whatever. Winds up with his club, hits it. Oh my god, he sliced it so bad. And it went and almost like broke a window in another townhouse, probably like 20 yards down. So he slices this ball. It goes, gunk, you hear the like, ba-ding, it bounces off the thing. And I'm like, Grant, oh my God. I thought like, I told him like, you better hope that nobody is home right now, because you're going to be paying for something. Someone was home. They walk outside and they're like, he's in like a bright neon shirt. I'm like, what are you wearing, man? Anyway, he comes outside.
How dare he?
How dare you protect your own house?
How dare he wear a neon shirt in his own home? What an asshole.
He comes outside, he looks at Grant, and Grant is one of the nicest people I know. He just goes, oh my God, man, I'm so sorry I hit your house. Like, hopefully it didn't break anything. And this guy is just like, yeah, you better be glad it didn't break anything. And we're just like, oh
one of them. One of them.
Oh.
One of those persons.
Sorry. Anyway, getting on with the good shot, bad shot. We get to, I think, hole, let's say 4 or 5 on the course we played this weekend. It was a pretty...
Wait, I'm sorry. That happened on like the second hole?
It was maybe not it was like the 6th hole, but I'm like for continuity. Anyway, so for my bad shot, we get to like hole 3 or 4. I line up. The course that was set, the course we played this weekend, kind of forced you to lay up 4 par 4s just on like the shots you wanted to take. So for this hole, I pulled out my 4-iron. I wanted to get it 200 yards up the fairway, just off the tee, and then have a lob wedge into the green. And that's kind of what I was feeling. So I tee it up. I had been at the range, finicking with my 4-iron, and I totally slice it. It goes right in the water. So I'm like, okay, I'll take a mulligan, whatever. Tee it up again after everybody else hit it into the water. So I'm like, oh my God. So totally missed 2 balls into the water off the tee. Totally sucked. So I'm basically on my 4th shot. So I drop the ball in the drop zone. I get my 4-iron out again, believe it or not. And I hit this thing perfectly straight right onto the green. So this is kind of my good shot.
Hell yeah.
My actual good shot. Fist bump.
Love that 4-iron.
4-iron fist bumps.
So that isn't even my good shot. My good shot, as a you know, our avid listeners who have been with us since the beginning.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Know that.
Thanks, Big Tuna.
Know that I hate my putter, but I'm looking at this green, and the way that the place I end up with this 4-iron shot on the green is I'm on the fringe, and I'm upslope of the hill. There's probably 15 degrees of slope. So if you can kind of imagine what the U.S. Open was like this weekend, just a lot of like slopiness, a lot of like undulation.
So you were basically at the U.S.
me.
Open is what I'm hearing?
I was basically at the U.S. Open because I'm that good at golf. So anyway, I line up for this putt probably 90 degrees toward the hole. So I hit it right into the upslope, and I'm looking like I explained the shot to Grant. First of all, I'm like, I look at the shot. I'm like, okay, well, first of all, I can't go directly at this hole with a large amount of pace because I'm going to overshoot it. It's a downhill putt. There's no shot it happens. So I explain the shot. I'm like, all right, let's see what happens. So I line up 90 degrees to the hole. I push it up onto the slope and then just let it kind of fall down. And no joke, the ball ended up 2 inches from the hole. It felt like such a good putt. It was probably a 30-foot putt or more honestly, like, that was my good shot for this week. It felt really good to kind of, read a green and look at the slope like the way that the pro players do and have the ball, even if I was lag putting, have the ball end up 2 inches from
Hell yeah, buddy. That is the best feeling. Like, making a putt or putting a putt super close that you don't think you're going to come close is, I think, one of the better feelings. Right behind, like, striping a 280-yard drive right down the middle. I'd say that's a little better, but...
I hit a 301. Absolute piss missile.
A little piss missile?
I'm a good driver. I'm a bad driver, but I'm good at driving golf balls.
All right, guys, I think it's time that we round this turn. We're 16 over on the front 9. We're looking at this back 9. We're feeling Like, there are endless possibilities. What if we go, what if you go 4 under? Like, that's a new record on the back nine. It's possible. Let's round this turn. Let's find a way to turn things around. It's been horrible so far. Let's figure out a way to increase it. And by horrible, not the podcast, your golf round so far. The podcast has been amazing, and there's no denying it. Josh, what is your question for the week?
All right. I'm going to set the stage for you guys. So I'm approaching this golf course pretty small, and I go and I hand them my credit card and they pay for it, and I approach and like I said, it was 2 9s. You play the round, the 9 hole twice, and we get there and this one guy just is like, hey, I'm on my back 9, do you mind if I hop in with you? I'm like, yeah, sure. All of a sudden another guy about our age comes up. And he decides to, I was just like, oh, like, do you mind if I join you guys? We're like, yeah, sure. And there's these 2, they gotta be 85-year-old women that are teeing off. And both of them tee the ball off about 10 yards. And they take a club and they hit the ball another 10 yards. And they take a club and hit the ball another 10 yards. And we're just sitting there. And they were the tee time in front of us, so, I'm there. It was 10:20. I was there 10 minutes early, stretching out like, I'm going to wait until 10:30 to tee off.
Stretching for golf.
And they're still like 150 out. And I was just like, well, I can't tee off because that's about where I'm aiming.
No, you did not.
And I didn't tee off.
Okay.
I went last. There was the older guy. He teed off before us and hit a beautiful shot. This dude was clinical. But one of my questions, and we were following them the entire round. The front 9 took us about 2 hours and 15 minutes. The back 9 took us about an hour. What are your pet peeves on the golf course, and what is your expected round time?
All right. So for 18 holes for me, I expect 4 hours as a good pace, but knowing that it's golf and you're out there with, sometimes there can be a bunch of 4-person groups, foursomes that are walking. I kind of expect when I go out to play a full round that it's going to take 5 hours. And that's just, so if I end in 4, great. If I end in 6, that sucks. If I end in 5, that's pretty much what I expect, So if I'm going 6 hours for a full round of golf, that is not acceptable. There's something wrong. But I kind of expect 5. That being said, my biggest pet peeve on the golf course has got to be like it's got to be people tapping in and taking their maybe I'll adjust my mindset to this as I get become a better golfer. But when you're teeing off and you can see the guys on the green, and there are 4 guys standing and all of their balls are 1 foot away from the hole, you're just like, guys, you don't have to tap in and have that stroke for, 1 foot putt. Maybe if you're having a tournament, maybe if you're, doing something really serious, I can understand that. But if it's a Saturday afternoon, we're just kind of having a good time. I see 4 guys who are all within like a 5 foot radius or, 5 foot radius of the hole, waiting to tap their last ball in. Like, guys, just give each other a gimme and get on with it because you're kind of slow in the course.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of like you said, Dill, when I go out to golf, if I can golf in 4 hours, that is awesome. And I'm so happy if I golf like a full-sized course in 4 hours. But like, I don't know, I'd say like average pace of play, the goal for me is probably 4.5 to 5 hours. A good day is 4 to 4.5 hours. Like, that's what I like to aim for. And I try to book tee times that lend themselves to having a quicker round, right? So doing a very early morning tee time, so there's no one in front of you, or, like right after work, almost the twilight, so not a lot of people are out there. I can just kind of like zoom through holes, 5-10 minute holes every time. That's definitely a goal for me. And then biggest pet peeve, that's a tough one. I don't have anything that like stands out per se. It does bug me when people don't repair their divots on the green, or their ball marks on the ball marks on the green. Like, that really, like, it's so easy to do, and it's also like anytime I get to use my little divot repair tool, I'm like
Yes,
like that's such a win. Like, oh, I hit the ball on the green from far enough away where it left a divot. Hell yes, let's go. That is such a win for me. Like, I don't get not repairing it. It takes not even 10 seconds. Like, just do it, you know?
No joke. I'm glad you brought that up because I had already said my pet peeve, but if you didn't bring that up, I was going to. And it is my favorite thing, going on the green and taking my ball marker tool and repairing 4 other ball markers because I just love doing it. It's fun. You get
it's just a cool tool to use. It's
you stamp it
the
down.
shape of
It's
it
like
is
kind
awesome.
of a flex too.
It's so
Yo,
fun.
I have to repair my divot right now, guys. I know you chipped onto the green from 10 feet away, but let me just.
Yeah, the divot tool, 100% my thing. It was interesting. You guys were a little longer than I expected.
Really?
With your average tee times, yeah. I think 4 hours and 15 minutes is ideal. And it also depends, do you have 4 people in your party or is it just you? But if I'm anywhere longer than, 4 hours and 45 minutes, that's a slow round for me. And that's a little, and my pet peeve is people that aren't aware of what's going on around them on the golf course.
That's just a general life pet peeve.
You're just going to drive onto my fairway and hit a ball. I'll wait and then I'll see the one guy will just chip, or just tee off. I'll go find my ball, no practice swing, and hit it back into my fairway before the other guy even puts his ball down.
Yeah, you hustle, right? Yeah, you're aware of what they're doing.
You're aware. And if they're take your time, it's a long par 3, and the guys are still on the green, I can go and I can take my time. And it's just, and Dylan, you said that point, and I loved it, is as I get better at golf, and I think as I've gone from being an absolute dog golf player to a bad golf player to we're nearing a not so good golf player, I've definitely noticed that. I've gotten a whole lot better in the past month and a half.
Doesn't make you not
whole
bad.
Lot better.
We're all bad golfers, and I will stand by that until we're scratch golfers.
So
average golfers. Are you saying scratch is average?
No, a handicap of I think 15 is average.
Oh, we'll be there by then.
And an average golfer, in my opinion, is a good golfer.
Well, no, it's an average golfer.
Yeah, but that's good. Okay.
But that's not a bad golfer. An average golfer is not a bad golfer.
I know it's
a 20 handicapped is bad. A 15 is just not good.
15's average.
So,
yeah, and that's what I was saying is we're nearing average. We're nearing not good, and we're getting away from bad.
Ladies, you're both pretty, but the one pet peeve that
You know what? Screw you, Dylan.
The one pet peeve of mine, and this has nothing to do with really players, is when courses say, all right, it's going to be cart path only today. You're like, okay, that makes sense. But half the time when you hit the ball and you're cart path only, your ball's on the whole other side of the fairway. So you got to get out.
Fairway.
Or in the wrong fairway, TM. Copyright. But you're on the whole other side or the wrong fairway. You got to get out. You got to estimate your yardage. You have to bring maybe 2 or 3 clubs with you. And then you duff a shot. So then you got to go back to the cart, move your cart up 50 yards. And then you got to do the same exact thing. That's my biggest pet peeve, is when it's cart path only and you can't bring your cart.
And now, is that like
fairway.
on par 3s that are cart path only? Or, if it just rained, I know I'm like a sensible golfer. I know my surroundings. Don't go on the fairway. A lot of times I'll drive in the rough and if they say, make sure your cart path only on this hole. But other than that, most of the time, even if they say cart path only, I'll go 90. And that's pretty much what you're supposed to, even if it's not just cart path only. And I think, if it just rained, 100% agree with it. But if it's like a normal day and they just like have it printed on the card that it's cart path only, and you can clearly see cart path marks, cart
marks on the grass.
On the grass.
There you go.
My English is no good right now.
A few too many White Claws.
Way too many.
My English ain't too good.
We rounded the turn. Like you said, it hasn't been a good round, so I've just drank a little bit more. But like, I understand where you're coming from, but I think that's a little much,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
So most of what I'm talking about is kind of when it has rained. So over.
I agree completely with what you said.
Yeah,
Then
2 weekends ago, it sucks because it had rained, and they're saying cart path only. And I'm a sensible golfer. I know you don't want to mess up your fairways. You don't want to have the cart paths on there, or like the cart marks. But at the same time, it's like I might as well just be friggin' walking and like rather than have a cart, because there's no point in me having a cart if I have to walk over and over again.
So I have a solution to your problem.
If I swear to freaking God, if you tell me to hit it in the center of the fairway, I'm going to end this call.
I have nothing to say.
That was a wise decision.
Just hit it in the center of the fairway. It's not that hard. Anyway, insert seamless transition here. My question for you guys this week.
TM.
my question for you boys this week, and I mentioned this to Dylan earlier, and I'm gonna alter it a little bit. It was originally +9. I'm gonna say. So you guys are having the round of your life. You just had the round of your life, right? You're +12 over 18 holes on a legitimate difficult course. Would you rather have that +12 with no birdies or with multiple birdies? Like, which is more impressive to you? Josh, what do you got for me?
Wow. That is a great question. I think it really depends why I'm having the +12 and not a +24, for example.
Okay.
If my irons are just there and I'm not having to use my pitching wedge at all, then I'm okay with no birdies. But if I'm having all of these, kind of saves or these long putts that I'm absolutely hitting, well, then it's going to be the birdie. I don't really care why. I mean, I could have a blow-up hole. That's like, okay, I hit into the water and then I hit it out of bounds because I hit the ball over the green. But then I, have to come back. So I have to, just hitting the pars. But, not having, and this was the question I think that was brought up last week is, would you rather a birdie or a par, would you rather just a normal birdie or like a par save? Like a really tough par save that you have a really good recovery shot? And I think my answer to that was a really good par save, because that shows that I'm hitting really good shots. I'm having average shots, but then I'm hitting really good shots. A birdie is just doing what you're supposed to do, in theory, and one putting.
So to go back to the original question, +12 with birdies or no birdies, I would definitely rather have a +12 with birdies. I think at this stage in my golf career, if I'm +12 over 18, which is hard to even imagine for me, just to be able to have 3 birdies, that's a lot for me. And I know that having the +12 too, that you have the birdies, but then you're gaining those strokes back elsewhere. To me, it's like I'm kind of used to having those blow-up holes of triple bogey, and so I expect maybe 1 or 2 of those per round. So if I can balance that out and I'm +12 and have those birdies to counteract that to be my +12 on a round, I'll take the birdies any day if it means I'll have 2 or 3 blow-up holes.
That's interesting. So, because I'm kind of the exact opposite on this. I feel like if I have a +12 with not a single birdie, that means I played incredibly consistent golf. And for me, that's kind of like the big goal for me right now is consistency.
Okay.
Right? Is like, all right, that's
such a good way to look to put it.
Yeah, it's like I'm bogeying or parring pretty much every single hole if I'm getting +12 with no birdies. Right? Maybe a double bogey here or there, but like there's no blow up hole, there's no huge mistakes. I'm playing a super consistent, solid round all around. That's at least like a couple, what is that, like at least 6 pars? Most likely that's like 9 pars with a couple of double bogeys. Like for me, that's, oh, heck yeah, I'm improving, instead of like, all right, you got lucky on a couple of birdies. I'm not saying that you would get lucky on those birdies. I'm just saying, for me to get a birdie at this point, I have to get lucky. Like I'm not attacking any holes looking for birdies. I'm attacking holes looking for par, and if I can meet that, that feels amazing, I think.
Yeah. Especially since, I think our par right now and is that bogey golf.
Yeah, exactly.
So hitting that par is hitting that birdie
Exactly.
in reality, especially if it's a 1 putt or 2 putt. That's a great way to look at it. And that's really, do you strive for consistency or do you strive for being able to hit really good shots?
Yeah, do you want high peaks or consistently in the middle, right? Like that's
not low valleys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Dylan, what is your question for us this week? I'm very excited for this.
What is your question?
All right, gentlemen. So
Please tell
Tell us your question.
Hey teacher, I have an answer for
Hey, Dylan, what's your question for this week?
I hope we cut all of that.
We're not.
I almost blew seltzer all over my microphone now. We're most likely going to cut that.
We're not though. So
No, we're not.
what I would like to discuss this week is something
What's your
that
question?
I'm going to remain silent for the rest of the episode.
Thank God.
Well, that does it for us here on the Wrong Fairway.
Got him.
All right, so the thing I would love to discuss this week is something that I think
question?
I swear to God.
I would love to put this as an add-on at the end, just raw.
Okay.
This is revenge for all the intros you guys have interrupted.
Okay. So what I would like to discuss this week is
Yeah, but what's your
we're
question?
keeping all of that, by the way. What I would like to discuss this week is something.
Because you do editing.
Dylan, what's your question, though?
We're deleting this whole episode. Okay, so what I would like to discuss this week is something that I think is keeping all three of us from shaving 5 strokes off our golf game.
Ooh.
I know, right? It's kind of something that you don't really think about until I bring this up. And the thing that I want to discuss is what I call the douche factor. And this might be something that, you've probably encountered before, you've definitely thought about before, but I think that each of us could shave 5 strokes off our golf game by becoming golf douches. And this is something that I struggle with because I don't want to be that golf douche. And I'll try to explain a little bit, but I feel like if I became a golf douche, I'd be able to shave a few strokes off. And what I mean by that is like when you're on the green and let's say you have a 4, maybe 6 foot putt, right? That's an important putt. A lot of us aren't going to take the time to line it up, walk from one side to the other to look at the green, see the slope, and try to make that putt. They're just going to go for it and just say, we're playing around with golf. The same thing happens when you're in the middle of the fairway and you take maybe 1, maybe 2 practice shots, but you really don't feel comfortable, but you just kind of go for it anyway. The douche factor to me is where you're taking up the time that you need to make the right shot and make the shot that you really want to make and feel comfortable with, but you don't want to hold up the rest of the people in your group. And I think that by lining up your shots, taking extra practice swings, and lining up putts, we could shave these strokes off our game, but you don't want to do that because you don't want to be that time-wasting douche in your golf group.
So I thought you were going to take this a whole different direction. I thought...
Yeah, me as well. I had a different douche factor in my head. I think that's just playing golf.
See, because I think that if we started wearing pastel colors exclusively, no-show socks, some visors, and, the most expensive clubs out there, that douche factor, we could really shave off five strokes. But you took it seriously. And I was not expecting you to take this question seriously. You took it like a serious direction.
Yeah. You said douche factor, and I was sitting there, and you started explaining lining up your putts, and I mean, I feel like you're associating a douche factor with knowing where you are because.
I'm gonna stop you right there. Sorry, I do think it is annoying, or it was annoying before I was like determined to get better at golf when people would do that. So I get, Dylan, where you're coming from.
Exactly.
I was just not. I was totally expecting you to be like, oh yeah, you have to wear like bright pink shorts and a green T-shirt and a visor, and that'll shape. I thought you were gonna take it that direction, and you took it seriously, and you're making us actually think about this question, and I kind of resent you for that, just a little bit.
You're welcome.
Yeah, because I was totally down to just say, yeah, I'm gonna buy a jumbo, pack of range balls and hit those before and get there an hour before and do a whole stretching routine and then go on the first tee, line it up, take 4 practice swings, line it up again, and then swing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just being, over analytical. And I know for me, I will never achieve that level of douche factor that you mentioned, because if I overthink about a shot, it's not going to be a good shot.
So do you take practice swings, Josh? So like some people would consider that douchey golf, right? Like I know, like when I was first starting.
Oh, I'm not taking.
You know what I mean?
My brother, and he's gonna hate me for saying this. My brother takes a stupid amount of practice.
Call him out. Call him out.
Oh, and I do, and it's just like, okay, he's taking a while. But for me, it's like I line it up, I'm aiming, take the one practice swing to make sure I'm not coming down on the ball, I'm not going outside to inside, and then I go. Just because walking up to the ball, I know, in my head, I'm going through the routine of how I'm going to swing.
Yeah.
But I don't think for me, I need to take 3-4. And what you mentioned on the green, walking around it, I'm going to try to do that before I line my putt up. If somebody else is chipping and I know I'm on the green, I have a birdie putt, and somebody's in the sand and we're sharing a cart, I know I have time to go around and look at my shot. So for me, that douchiness factor that you're talking about, I am efficient at doing that. I'm being an efficient douche, if you will.
So, absolutely you are. So for me, I kind of bring up like the zone. Like we've mentioned it before, maybe not on the podcast, but like when you get in the zone when you're doing something, you're like not thinking, you're just doing. I'm sure we've all been there for like volleyball, definitely for golf once or twice. But like for me, when I'm in the zone with golf, I'm not taking practice swings. It's my 2 very best rounds of golf have been when I don't take practice swings, but conversely, my worst rounds of golf are also when I'm not taking practice swings. It's really just trying to get yourself into that confident, I know I'm going to hit this well mindset, and just doing instead of thinking. And that's definitely, I think, a huge part of golf is determining like, okay, like I'm having a good round. I don't need to like practice every single swing and go over every minute detail. Yes, I'll take my time and not rush it, but like, I don't know, just doing it, which is, I think, for me at least, my best golf is not necessarily, Dylan, your definition of douchey golf. But if I'm having a mediocre round, that definitely does help me if I'm not in that zone, right?
And it's interesting you mentioned I'm the best driver in this group. It's been said.
Wait.
Times.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
oh,
no,
okay.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
I didn't know if we were sure about. Okay.
I don't take a practice swing lined up to the ball. The practice swing I take away from it is, I'm hitting perpendicular to the
I'm
ball.
the exact same way with my irons. And I'm the best iron swinger in the group.
And then, exactly. And so, well, yeah, you are. It's not a, yeah. I'm number 2.
I can't wait for our golf trip because I'm going to blow you all out of the water. Patty hasn't played a full-length course in ever. So.
Pish posh. But I don't take practice swings on my drivers just because when I think too much, where are my feet lined up, it just ends up being like terrible, and I just go and I just like, the grip it and rip it mentality.
Yeah, exactly. Pull out your driver, compare it to everybody else, see whose driver's the biggest, and then just grip it and rip it. Just send it.
Yeah.
I've actually...
Dylan got it. Well, 10-second delay.
I got it too. I just didn't think it was as funny as Dylan did.
I wasn't even laughing at Patty's joke. I was... So...
You're just laughing.
But I found that when I'm on the tee, I don't take a lot of practice swings. And I think some people don't take practice swings because I think they'll like use up their good swings or whatever. But to me, I just don't take practice swings a lot on the tee because I don't, if you're not going to take a full swing, then there's no point taking a practice swing because you're going to take a half swing, and you're not going to take a half swing on your tee shot. So why are you taking a half swing to do a practice swing? So for me, when I'm on the tee, I'll line up my ball. I'll make sure I'm doing stuff right, but I really don't take a practice swing. And what I think I'm doing, honestly, is making sure that in a year, when I'm doing the same exact thing, when I'm not taking these practice swings, that I'm actually hitting the first ball like I want to do, like I want to hit it the first time, rather than taking a practice swing, thinking it's good, and then screwing it up. But I haven't been taking a lot of practice swings on the tee, and it's been working out pretty well so far.
Yeah, and I definitely, kind of like I said, like when we're having our best rounds, we're not thinking about every single shot. I think putting might be a little bit different, but in general,
putting its own,
putting's its own beast.
Entirely.
That's like a whole separate sector of golf. We're not going to talk about that too much because it's terrifying and we don't understand it yet. But like, yeah, like kind of like what you're saying, like the less practice swings, not necessarily the better, but when you're having a good round, not overthinking it, I think is definitely key. And I think that definitely will lend itself to us getting better. And I think that's something we can bring into these next 2 weeks of golf. Speaking of #seamlesstransition, what are your guys' what are your guys' next 2 weeks of golf looking like? Dill, go ahead.
So the next 2 weeks, I'm planning on playing as much as I can. At least go into the range. I've been trying to go to the range Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Or at least 2 days during like a business week that I can. I've been finding my drives are looking pretty good. My tee shots, whatever I would take off the tee, whether it be a 4-iron, a 3-wood, a driver, they're looking pretty good, pretty straight. So I'm glad. But for a bullet for me, I'm going to say tee shots. Get off the tee, okay. Good. Actually, not even good. I'd say get off the tee straight. That's my bullet. Get off the tee straight.
Hell yeah, I definitely feel that. And for me, that kind of goes into my bullet. So my bullet last week was get better with my irons, which I'm slowly getting there. And I think the biggest factor for me getting better with my irons is going to the range before every round. Yep. Because I've found, so like my last 4 rounds, I have finished with more than 5 consecutive pars or better. Like at the end of every round, I'm doing great. And that's once I'm in the groove and I haven't gone to the range before a round in like a month. So I think I really need to start doing that and trying to like get in my own groove before every round. And that'll definitely help my score. But my bullet for these next 2 weeks, and I'm planning on golfing 4-ish times over the next 2 weeks, is get better with my driver. And I've been talking about this for a while. I might go get fitted for a driver and buy a driver just because I really, really want one soon. You know?
I can tell by your body language you're going to think we hate you for that, but I'm going to say go for it.
Yeah?
I'm going to say hella go for it, especially if a fitting, $50 is a fitting, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And we say a good driver is, for our range, $300.
Yep. That's I'm looking at like 200, 250, maybe 300 if I'm pushing it.
Exactly. So you take $50 off of that, like you're taking 20%, if not more, off of your driver cost just by getting the fitting alone. So you get that data and you get the driver. I definitely say go for it.
All right, maybe I'll book one of those just because, like, I don't know, I'm living at home, like I'm working. I don't have a ton of expenses, Like, it might be time. It might be about time.
Might as well be time.
Yeah, exactly. Josh, what's your what are your next 2 weeks looking like? What's your bullet?
Next 2 weeks, playing Friday with my dad at a course that I'm familiar with, which will be good because I'll be really able to play the entire course. Mm-hmm. So, and then I'm probably going to try to play again. I start work Monday.
Okay.
So I'm definitely going to lose a lot of the afternoon weekday times that I go. Mm-hmm. Definitely going to get back to the range. I'll also be living at home. So those non-expenses will probably transfer to the range. Yep. So I think definitely, and I'm going to practice this at the range too when I go, especially in preparation for our golf trip, is going to be converting from one club to the next.
What do you mean by that?
going from my driver to my, I'm going to say long irons, anywhere between 5 to 8. And then transitioning to my wedges and then my
So
putter.
do you mean like, you hit a great drive and you're feeling confident and then taking that confidence into your next club? Is that what you mean? Like, I'm a little bit confused here.
I think what he means is just transferring between clubs. So when you go to the range, you hit 10 balls in a row with your driver.
Mm-hmm.
But on the course, you hit your driver once, then you hit your 7-iron once, you hit your putter once, and it's that kind of rotation. I think that's what he's talking about. Correct me if I'm wrong.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about is going to the range and going, driver 7, pitching wedge, sand wedge, and then going driver 5-iron, 9-iron, etc.
Yeah, so what I've actually been doing every time I go to the range, or even when I'm like in my backyard hitting into that net that I got, is like the course I go to the most is I picture that course and I go, okay, like I'm going to play that course right now. My first shot, I'll hit driver or a 3-wood. And then my next shot, I'll be like, all right, like, did I slice it? Like, where'd it go from there? Like, what would I be hitting ballpark? And like try to play a course in my head on the range at the end of every range session. So like the last 20 minutes of the hour. And that's definitely like been helping me a ton.
And especially since I know what course I'm going to be playing and I know the other course I'm going to be playing if I do play it is definitely, and that goes into, I think my bullet last week was stringing holes together. So being able to, birdie a hole, then par a hole and not have this inconsistent. And I think that's really going to push me forward in. I have all the skills. I've hit great pitches. I've hit great putts. I've hit great iron shots, drivers this entire summer, this entire quarantine. And now this round Friday with my dad is 100% going to be the final exam.
Yeah.
At least for me. And just what I learned, because I am going to get fitted this winter, but seamless transition, Patty, what are you going to say?
Hashtag seamless transition. So you guys have mentioned it a couple times now, this podcast, our golf trip that we're doing. I think it's time that we tell all 8 listeners, or rather, sorry, my bad, 10 listeners, exactly what this golf trip is, kind of what are we going to be doing, if we want to place some wagers on it. What are you guys thinking? So, like, are we locking it in? Are we doing this trip?
Oh, we are.
We are, but there's a lot to do, so I think this is just going to be a teaser.
Okay.
And I think we'll get back in 2 weeks. It's looking like 4 weeks-ish.
Yeah, so
a little bit.
Yeah, the episode, next episode we'll know, I think, for sure whether or not it's happening. Although I'm pretty sure it's happening, right, guys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's definitely going to happen. So I think for now we'll say a little like next time on The Wrong Fairway. Patty, Dill, and Josh proceed to take a trip into Tahoe to see who's the best.
We're going to Tahoe, baby.
Wagers.
We're going to Tahoe.
We're going to Tahoe. But for now, I think Patty's going to take us to the outro.
But before we seamless transition, I'm putting this out there now. I think on our trip, I don't even know what clubs I'll be using, but I think each par 3 we run into, no matter what day it is, no matter what it is, I think we put $5 on each par 3 closest to the pin.
Seamless transition. I'm not going to wear shoes.
I'm for that. No, you are so. I will not golf with you if you don't wear shoes. One game that we do like to play is called Snake, and the way that Snake works, for those that are not familiar, is anytime somebody 3-putts, the pot, the dollar, oh yeah, buddy, or the pot increases by $1. The kitty, thank you. And anytime you 3-putt, you become the snake until somebody else 3-putts. And I think we're gonna play it so that the entire weekend, which is probably gonna be 5 to 6 rounds of golf, is gonna be one cumulative game of snake. So whoever 3-putts on that last hole, 16, 17, 18, will be paying out upwards of, I don't know, I'd guess like $800 based on how well we putt.
You think we're going to 3-putt that much? Have you learned nothing about putting this summer? Clearly you didn't go to the Rick Shields putting masterclass.
I have learned a lot. You guys have both spoken about putting on your carpets at home, so I don't have high hopes for you.
I never said once I putt. I've been going to the courses and putting and then leaving.
All right, well, fair enough. Anywho, I think that is all for episode 4 of The Wrong Fairway. Not sure what we're going to title this yet, but we will see. It's most likely going to be hashtag seamless transition because we've had so many money transitions so far.
The douche factor.
Hashtag the douche factor. But it has been awesome. Thank you so much for listening. We really, really appreciate it. You can follow us on Twitter at Wrong Fairways. Find us on YouTube at The Wrong Fairway, or listen to us on any podcast streaming service. Hopefully we're listed on all of them at this point. If we're not, let us know, please, because we are 3 complete idiots just doing our best trying to get a podcast out there. Let us know. This has been Patty, Dylan, Josh. Thank you guys so much for listening. It's been a blast, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.